Konnichiwa minasan, I'm back again, and as you can see I just came home from work, which is the perfect time to do the vlog that I'm doing right now. Today's topic is, or issue is, huge thing of recommendation is do not date coworkers. And I mean do not date coworkers for today, do not date coworkers for tomorrow, do not date coworkers indefinitely, period. Ever, I don't care if hell is rising, do not date coworkers. And here's the reason why. You don't want to lose your job. It gets to be very serious when you get involved in a relationship with somebody that maybe you don't know. I mean, that's the whole purpose of dating, is to get to know people. You don't know if that person might be a little bit crazy or obsessive compulsive. You don't know if that's going to cause any trouble. You're both at work. People are supposed to be very professional at work. I'm not saying that people don't date, people don't get involved, but you never can tell how somebody else is going to interpret something. Alright, what if a guy is going to hit on a girl and say a few words or something to suggest that he likes her, so he's flirting with her. Maybe that girl is involved with somebody, maybe she isn't. Maybe she's married, happens not to be wearing her ring that day for whatever reason. You never can tell if somebody's going to take offense to that. And I mean that I'm using the example of a guy hitting on a girl. Well, a girl could be hitting on a guy too, and I've had that experience happen also. It's not something that's very prudent, it's not very well advised. And when you get involved in a relationship, you get to see each other on a daily basis. Now, let's assume that maybe the two of you are dating, things are going well, and maybe one night things go awry. You're not getting along so well. She doesn't want to see you anymore. She doesn't want to talk to you. She doesn't want to have anything to do with you. But you both work at the same company. So at some point in time, where that office is big or where it's small, you guys might bump into each other. And that's not a very comfortable situation. Maybe that girl is going to be threatened by your presence. And even if you're not doing anything to bother her, even though you're not talking to her, you might see her and you might exchange looks. And that could be interpreted as something that makes her very, very uncomfortable. Even if you go and you say, all right, I'm not going to even look at her. If you're in the same space, you're around, or same building, same general area, or whatever. It doesn't even matter sometimes. You don't even have to be close to them. You can stay far away. They still might be crazy enough to see that there's a threat to them by you. So that can cause issues. You don't want to be saying anything that makes anybody uncomfortable. You don't want to be doing anything. As far as touch goes, I think there's a very limited number of things that people can do. I mean, when you're at work, you know, it's very important to be professional. So I think anything outside of a handshake, I suppose, even I'd say like a gesture, you know, touching somebody's shoulder, you know, like that, or whatever, grabbing somebody's arm, you know. I've had that happen. Sometimes that stuff doesn't go well with people, you know. I've had somebody actually trying to make a point with me, and they did make a point, and they grabbed my arm, and it was like, why are you grabbing my arm? It didn't make me feel comfortable. It's that kind of situation. You don't know what somebody is thinking. And see, what if you got a situation that evolves that could be considered harassment? Now, the person who's the victim, who's supposedly being harassed, or maybe they heard words come from somebody's mouth that didn't make them comfortable. They might go up to their boss or the manager that you work for, or maybe you both work for, and explain this whole thing. So then you might have to sit in an office and have a little talk about what happened. Now, there's certain things that can come about with this, even though it's something serious, or maybe not so serious, or maybe unintended. Maybe it did have intention, or maybe it was just a passe thing. You know, it was very neutral. Somebody could interpret something, if they can possibly interpret something and take offense to it. That can result in a serious situation. And you could come away from it with a warning, maybe, if you're lucky, or you could end up losing your job. I'm saying that strongly because I'm very serious about that. If people are taking that lightly or taking it as a joke, go and find out, okay? You won't be making my day, that'll be your day. The college students and some of the high school people, you're young, you probably don't have a concept of that very well. But when you get into the real world and you have a professional job, you're going to count on that job for things. You're going to count on that job to pay bills, right? You spend a lot of time working. What are those things that you get from work pay for? You get money, it pays for bills, pays for bills to have a roof over your head, whether it's going to be rent, owning a house, paying utilities, paying for that nice car, that sweet ride you got, paying for insurance. And it could even pay for things like, that hot date that you got with that nice girl on the weekend. It's not worth having anything to do with coworkers if you're going to be losing your job, all right? It's not worth it. You could get involved with a lot of people outside of work, okay? And if anything crazy comes of that, or the girl's crazy and obsessive about you, and then you're not really into her later on, and what's the worst that could happen, okay? She could stalk you, blah, 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 blah. There could be a number of things, okay? Maybe she might go and decide to flatten all the tires in your car. All right, so big deal. But you won't lose your job. Your job's very important. And sometimes people have a way of being so obsessed to hang on to somebody that they'll try to hurt them in every way they can just to get attention. All right? That's kind of crazy stuff. And I'm saying that not to scare people. I'm saying that because it's real. Okay? Anything that could threaten your job, very, very big deal. These days, it's not like, there's a ton of jobs out there, but when you got a good job, you want to hang on to it. It has a huge impact on your future, your financial well-being. You got to build a retirement someday, and maybe you use that job to pay off for that car. So you have no income going into that new car. Okay, great. But it helps you have a higher quality life that you're used to, some level of comfort. If you want to date, you want to get involved with somebody, go ahead. Find somebody outside of work. If you think the women are pretty hot or the guys are pretty hot at your company, look outside and look at the world around you. Maybe you're out grocery shopping. Maybe you're at the library. Maybe you're at some dance or social function, or maybe you're out at the clubs at night on Saturday. You'll get to see there's a whole world of people out there that you could possibly be dating. And you don't have to be stuck with just people at work. And I think a lot of people look at work and find that to be a convenient place because people come there, they're all there at the same time, and when somebody's going to be in unless they're out on vacation. The thing that comes about that when you have some kind of harassment issue that comes about at work is that your company may be held liable for any lawsuits that arise out of this, okay? So people at companies kind of try to, they want to keep a professional environment. They don't want any trouble. Nobody wants to lose their job. There's those types of things to consider. And when somebody's terminated from their job for harassment, that's it. That's it. Sometimes harassment builds up towards other things too. It depends on the type of person who may be doing the harassment, and maybe they have no idea what harassment could be. And they go further and further and further, and you don't want to see somebody do something or possibly rape somebody who's a harassment victim. Sometimes that stuff happens at companies too. It's a real world out there, and people lose their jobs all the time to harassment, whether it's something great or something small. It's important to be professional at work. It's my policy, personally, not to date coworkers. People outside of work, yeah, okay. Some of that professionalism even extends to places you might go and do business with. I mean, I go into the world, I'm a male to female trans person, just throw that out as an example. And people might notice certain things about me, whether I do business at the camera shop or the grocery store, and they're not going to go and try to upset me or make me uncomfortable in any way. What if you have a customer that picks up on something that they don't like and they just go off crazy? Then they're already yelling and cussing at this person and starting a riot. And you know, that person working at that business is, oh my God, they were really sensitive to that. You just don't know what people are going to say. Now that could affect that person's job too, because they're a customer service professional or professional in some way or shape or form, you know, at a retail location, whatever the heck it may be. You know, they want to please their customers, they want to help them. It's like some customers are better than others, but you know, you certainly don't want to displease a customer in a certain way that the manager is going to overlook and say, I don't want you working for me because this is an issue. You know, we don't want to be held with any kind of liability or some kind of lawsuit that'll come across to reflect poorly on this location or on this company as a whole. So I want people to kind of think of that. If you don't know what it is, well, harassment can come in certain ways. Think about yourself, right? Think about what you would be comfortable with people saying. Now, think on the other aspect of things. What types of things could people come about and say to you that would make you uncomfortable? I'll give you an example, okay? This is something that not anybody said in particular. Now, if somebody started to say something sexual, blah, 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 I might be offended about it. In high school, I used to be in the lunch line, and I had this girl that liked me that would end up in behind me, and she'd be with a group of friends. And every once in a while, she would go and she'd goose me, and I'm like, huh? Where the heck did that come from? Okay, that's something that kind of takes somebody by surprise, but is it appropriate for people to go and do that kind of thing? No, not necessarily. So you'd better believe after like once or twice I'd be looking behind me in the lunch line and say, is she there? You know, is there something going on with this? Do I see the same group of friends and she's going to come out somewhere? And like, you know, it's that sort of thing. It doesn't make people comfortable. Do I want people talking to me about, I don't know, personal issues, you know, my own stuff regarding trans things at work? No, not necessarily. You got to think for people's personal lives too, and you got to think for things that they might be sensitive to. Race and culture are also very, very big things, you know. So when you're at work, you know, don't try to get into that too much, because maybe it might upset somebody and exacerbate some type of harassment issue. It's very important stuff. I think some people learn the hard way. Sometimes they lose their jobs. They lose very, very good jobs. I don't want people to be a victim. This is a lesson of life, but it's a hard lesson of life. If people do meet and they get involved and they're in a relationship that there's some certain level of trust there, that's a good thing, I suppose. But there's always that impending risk that you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. To those people, good luck with that, you know. But me personally, it's not my cup of tea. So that's my 2 cents today. I hope you guys learned something from it. And everybody's fine and well and dandy in the real world. Alright, bye for now. Take care, guys.